Assalamu alaikum students. So I welcome all of you in this lecture series on recombinant DNA technology, and today we are going to discuss about the applications of the PCR. This is lecture 1.2 of the series, and let us start. So PCR, as we have seen in the previous lecture, PCR is the process by which DNA is replicated. DNA is replicated in vitro. It is replication of DNA in vitro, and this PCR polymerase chain reaction, this can be used for several purposes. It has very wide applications. First application of this PCR is that it is used in detection of pathogens. So there are certain pathogens which grow very slowly. Those pathogens which grow slowly, their detection by traditional methods is quite difficult. Therefore, for detection of such microbes, for detection of such pathogens, these PCR techniques have been developed which successfully help in detection of such pathogens. For example, in recent times, this PCR has been used in detection of the HIV virus. HIV virus, as you know, it is the causative organism of the most dreadful disease of humans, that is AIDS, or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So this acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, this is caused by a virus, a retrovirus, which is named as human immunodeficiency virus. And there are two tests which detect the presence of this HIV virus, or which detect this disease. One is the serological test, wherein we detect the presence of antigen or antibodies against this HIV virus. That is a serological test, which is the blood test, which is used to detect the HIV virus. The second test for this HIV or AIDS test is that we detect the presence of the virus, the viral genome itself, the RNA molecule. So that RNA of HIV virus, that is amplified by making use of polymerase chain reaction, and then that is detected. So this test has been successfully, this HIV has been successfully detected by this reaction by the PCR technology. And most recently nowadays, this corona or this SARS-CoV-2, this SARS-CoV-2, this is the causative organism of the disease which is nowadays pandemic in these times. That is, it causes what is known as COVID-19 disease, coronavirus disease. This coronavirus disease or COVID-19 is caused by a type of virus which has been named as SARS-CoV-2. So I will discuss how this PCR is used in detection of the SARS-CoV-2 or SARS coronavirus. So for this, for detection of or using this PCR in detection of SARS-CoV-2, what are the various steps that are through which we go? The first step is for detection of SARS-CoV-2. First is the collection of sample. So what we first do is that we take a sample wherefrom we will be able to possibly obtain the virus if the person is COVID positive. So from suspects, some nasal swabs or oral swabs are taken. So first is collection of sample. Collection of sample is collected from the patient or the suspect via it is nasal swab. So nasal swab will be collected. So nasal swabs are collected. Second, or it is what is called as the pharyngeal swab. Pharyngeal swabs, they are taken, and in some cases even the fluid from the lower respiratory tract, that is sometimes also taken. So even fluids from the lower respiratory tract, they are also taken and these are collected by means of a special that as an earbud like this. You might have seen the earbud by which we clean our ears. It is similar to that, except that it is a bit longer. So that instrument that is put inside the nostril of the suspect or inside the throat, inside the mouth of this suspect, then the nasal swab or the pharyngeal swab is taken, and then that swab is taken to the laboratory while further analysis is carried out. Now inside this laboratory, what is done? So number second is now the isolation of the RNA, so or the what we call as nucleic acid. So if the suspect is COVID positive, for example, if he or she has the virus, then from the sample which we have collected, the DNA will be isolated, RNA will be isolated. Now RNA or nucleic acid is isolated from the usual methods which we have discussed earlier in the isolation of the DNA. Same method is here applied, excepting that we make use of different types of chemicals. Say for example, we make use of here Taxol. So in the Taxol basis extraction of this nucleic acids, this RNA, possibly the RNA or the genome or the genetic material of this virus that is taken out from the nasal swabs. Now that RNA, we know it is a very small RNA. For example, it has been shown that in the paper published in 11th of January 2020, it has been published that the genome of this virus, it is only approximately 30,000 bases long. The genome of this virus it's an RNA molecule. The COVID or SARS-CoV-2 is a retrovirus. It's a retrovirus, which means that it has RNA as its genetic material, and this RNA has been sequenced by Chinese scientists, and it has been found that this RNA molecule has approximately 30,000 bases. And to be exact, it has 29,903 bases. It is 29,903 bases long, it is genome, and in this genome we do not amplify the entire genome, or we do not detect the presence of an entire genome. What we do in this PCR is that we will target only a portion of this genome. So out of this entire 30,000 bases long genome, we do not target the entire 30,000 long genome, but instead we will target only two specific regions. So as I mentioned that this in PCR, we do not target the entire genome of this SARS-CoV-2, rather we will target only specific regions. So in this protocol, we target these two regions which are present between these bases. One is between 12,621st base to 12,727th base. Similarly, another one is between 14,010th base to 14,116th base. So these regions, these are specific for this COVID-19, and these are amplified. These will be amplified several times. Say for example, in this case, we run this PCR for 20 to 40 cycles. So after 40 cycles, this signal, this target DNA region, this will be amplified to tens of billions of times. So if then this, for example, we are able to detect in the sample presence of this very region. If only one out of these two regions, only one region is detected, it means that our test results, if we want to confer our results, if this region is present in sample, only this very region, then we say that test is inconclusive. Number first, if both regions are present, if we are able to detect both regions, then we say that the person is COVID positive, test comes positive. If both regions are negative, if we are unable to detect even this or this region, even then we say that the test is negative. So this is how this coronavirus is detected by making use of the PCR or polymerase chain reaction. So here we have seen that polymerase chain reaction, it helps us in detection of those viruses which either whose genome is very small, or which are very difficult to culture, or which those type of pathogens which grow very slowly, where the number of the pathogens is far less in the host cells. Say for example, this PCR can also be used in detection of the tuberculosis. This can also be used in detection of HIV. In case of SARS-CoV-2, we target only two specific regions of this virus, genome of virus. If both regions are present, test is positive. If only one region is present, test is inconclusive. If both are absent, then the test comes negative. There are several tests. This one test, this is from Pasteur Institute, this protocol. There are others which will target other regions of this SARS-CoV-2, and there is one more test for this SARS-CoV, that is the serological test. In serological test, we detect the presence of antibodies. We don't make use of PCR there, but rather we detect the presence of antibodies. If a person has this infection, has SARS-CoV-2 in his body or in his respiratory tract or elsewhere, then his body will start producing the antibodies. Now, our first antibody that is produced against this or any other pathogen is IgM type of antibody. Similarly, later on, after a few weeks, then another antibody, that is IgG antibody, will be present. In the respiratory tract itself, in the mucosal membrane of respiratory tract, another antibody is produced against this virus, that is IgA. Again, we have different types of kits which will detect these different types of antibodies. There are certain kits which will try to detect all of these three antibodies. Yet there are others which detect two out of these two antibodies. So this is how this PCR is used in detection of these pathogens. Especially, I have mentioned it in detail. We have discussed in detail how PCR is used in detection of SARS-CoV-2. And one important point which I would like to mention here is that you might be thinking that this PCR is the technique which amplifies DNA. But I have just mentioned here that this SARS-CoV is a retrovirus RNA. Therefore, before undergoing this normal polymerase chain reaction, what we make use of here is that we make use of an modified type of polymerase reaction that is called as RT-PCR. This RT-PCR stands for reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. That is, here first RNA which we isolate from the sample, that RNA is first converted into cDNA molecule. So that process is called as reverse transcription, and this step, so this is RNA molecule, this is RNA molecule from the sample. This RNA molecule is first converted into DNA molecule. This DNA molecule which we obtain from RNA molecule by means of an enzyme which is called as reverse transcriptase. Reverse transcriptase, this molecule of DNA is called as cDNA. cDNA, this stands for complementary DNA. Then this DNA is amplified by making use of the PCR or the polymerase chain reaction. Then this PCR will amplify this DNA. It will make tens of billions of copies of our DNA molecule. And again, we don't target the entire DNA now. We will specifically target only these two regions. We will try to find out these two regions. We will try to find out only these two regions. Again, the primers again are to be used for this? Primers we synthesize because we already know it is a genome. Entire genome has been sequenced, as I mentioned earlier. From that knowledge, we are able to make primers, and those primers will attach to these regions, and then if they are present, then they will extend this by means of the normal amplification process, that is the polymerase chain reaction. So this was about how PCR is used in detection of SARS-CoV-2. Next, we will discuss about how PCR is used in detection of mutations. So this PCR technique is also used in detection of the genetic disorders. Now we will discuss that.
So in this animation, we will see how RT-PCR is carried out. It has two steps, one step and two-step RT-PCR. So first, two-step RT-PCR. In two-step RT-PCR, in one reaction tube, first cDNA is prepared from the RNA by reverse transcriptase. Here is how cDNA is prepared. Then that cDNA is transferred into another reaction tube wherein the other DNA molecule is formed, and then that is amplified. So this, you can see that DNA molecules are being amplified by the normal DNA polymerase. So this type of one-step or two-step RT-PCR is used when we want to target multiple targets from the same RNA sample. And it is also used when we wish to store cDNA for later uses. While as in case of one-step RT-PCR, which we use in coronavirus detection as well, both RNA, reverse transcriptase and DNA polymerase are added in same reaction tube, and both steps are carried out in same reaction tube. This type of reaction is much faster. It involves less pipetting, and it also minimizes possible contamination and improves data reproducibility.
So hope you have enjoyed this animation. In animation, we discussed how this reverse transcriptase RT-PCR works. Now let us discuss about how this PCR or polymerase chain reaction is used in detection of the mutations. So we will use application of PCR in detection of mutations. We know there are certain genetic disorders, there are hundreds of thousands of genetic disorders which are caused because of mutations of the genes, wherein some gene is mutant, some gene has undergone mutation, and because of those mutations the person shows the genetic defect. For example, there are genetic disease like cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disorder which is caused because of a mutant gene which is present on the which is located on the chromosome number 11 of the patient. Number second is the phenylketonuria. Similarly, phenylketonuria. Similarly, ketonuria. Similarly, we have alkaptonuria. Alkaptonuria. Similarly, we have Huntington's chorea. Huntington's chorea, etc. So there are several types of genetic disorders which are caused because of mutant genes, and we can make use of this PCR or polymerase chain reaction in detection of those mutant genes well in advance, well before that these diseases get themselves established. So before the onset of symptoms, before the patient shows symptoms, we can well in advance detect their presence, whether the individual carries the mutant gene or not. So I will here discuss an interesting example, that is of Huntington's chorea or Huntington's disease. I have chosen this disease for a reason, because a person carrying this Huntington's gene, he spends normal life for 30 to 50 years of his life. So he is unaware whether he carries the mutant gene or not. So these symptoms of this disease, they appear quite late in life. Sometimes the disease appears, or the symptoms of the disease appear after 80 years of the age. Therefore, by making use of the PCR, we will be able to detect its presence very well in advance, or accordingly such individuals might be counseled, and the possible therapeutic and other treatments can be started. So let us discuss how PCR is used in detection of the Huntington's chorea or Huntington's disease. So, Huntington's disease. Huntington's disease, it is a genetic disorder. It is a genetic disorder which is caused because of a mutant gene, an autosomal dominant gene. It is dominant. Autosomal dominant means that you need only one copy for the disease to express itself. So it's an autosomal dominant disease. Autosomal dominant disease. The mutant gene of which is located on chromosome number 4. On the 4th chromosome. So the 4th chromosome, in case of Huntington's disease patients, therefore the 4th chromosome will carry a mutant gene. That mutant gene is called as Huntington gene. Huntington gene. Now this Huntington gene, it has been found that this Huntington gene has this normal Huntington gene. Normally this Huntington gene, it has a trinucleotide sequence. That trinucleotide sequence is that of CAG. So this CAG in non-Huntington patients, in normal individuals, this Huntington gene has a trinucleotide, that is CAG, which repeats itself less than 30 times. Less than or equal to 30 times. So Huntington's, non-Huntington individuals, they have CAG repeats, and those repeat, the number of these repeats is less than 30 times in case of non-Huntington disease, normal individuals. While in case of patients which have the mutant gene, there the mutation is because of the more number of this trinucleotide than the normal. Say for example here, the number of the CAGs in the Huntington gene, that is more than 36. So it repeats this CAG trinucleotide, this sequence repeats more than 36 times. Now how is PCR going to help us? Now what PCR does is that if we are able to get the sample of the individual, say suspect again here, then we will target this very region of just Huntington gene, and then we will make use of PCR to amplify that region. We will make, by means of this PCR or polymerase chain reaction, we make tens and billions of copies of it that will amplify our signal, and then we will count the number of this, the number of the times this CAG is repeated. If it is repeated more than 36 times, we say that the person has a mutant Huntington's gene, and therefore the person will be suffering from Huntington's chorea. This Huntington's disease, it is a dreadful brain disorder. It results in degeneration. It's a progressive brain damaging disorder which progressively damages the basal ganglia of the individual's nervous system, because of which the symptoms appear like unshakable and uncontrolled shaking of his arms, of his legs, of his head, of his face. Plus, he has some behavioral disorders as well. Say for example, he suffers from a psychiatric condition which is called as OCD. OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. So he repeats things again and again. He repeats the same question and again, or repeats doing things again and again. And further, he has also thinking and cognitive disabilities as well. So this is how this how PCR is used in detection of the some mutations, especially we have discussed it here, the Huntington's chorea or Huntington's disease. So now we will discuss about how PCR is used in its application in DNA fingerprinting. So application of PCR in DNA fingerprinting. Now, DNA fingerprinting, as you know, it is a technique which is used to detect the unique pattern, unique bands or unique profile of each individual organism. Now, sometimes this DNA fingerprinting in recent times has been used in detection of the forensic sciences. It has been used in forensic sciences. It has been used in solving the criminal cases. criminal cases. It has been used to solve the paternity issues. It has been used to solve the migration issues as well. So DNA fingerprinting, in DNA fingerprinting, we can make use of the PCR. Say for example, in a crime scene wherein the evidence can be in the form of a small drop of blood, or its evidence can come by way of a single follicle of hair, so that the DNA extracted from even that small amount of sample, that can be amplified by making use of the polymerase chain reaction. So polymerase chain reaction helps us in amplifying that sample which is quite small, which we obtain by way of a small quantity of DNA. That DNA can be amplified several billion times by polymerase chain reaction, and from that DNA we can then do the DNA fingerprinting. That is a separate topic, DNA fingerprinting. And that DNA fingerprinting, that profiles which we obtain by making use of DNA fingerprinting technology, from that we will be able to solve the criminal cases. Say for example, we will be able to solve as to who has done the crime. We will be able to solve the paternity issues, so as to find out, for example, so as to who is the biological father or the biological parent of a child. We will be able to solve the migration issues. Say for example, as the population is the migrant, or they are the local residents of the area, so that will again be solved by making use of DNA fingerprinting. And DNA fingerprinting is entirely dependent upon the polymerase chain reaction, which amplifies the signal and which amplifies the quantity of the DNA, from which we will then do the DNA fingerprinting. So this was application of PCR in the DNA fingerprinting. Number 4th application of this PCR. Now we will discuss about the application of PCR in paleontology. Now what is paleontology? Paleontology is the science that deals with study of fossils. So what we do is that we try to obtain DNA from the fossils, and that DNA which is obtained from fossils, that can be amplified by making use of, by PCR, polymerase chain reaction. And that amplified DNA, from the amplified DNA, we will be able to obtain the DNA profiles of the fossil. And from those DNA profiles, we will then be able to find out whether the fossil belongs to an earlier extinct species, or it is a fossil that is that of the contemporary species. So therefore, this PCR technology, it has very important role in the paleontology. Not only paleontology, it has also role in phylogeny therefore. So it is also helpful in the phylogeny. Phylogeny is the science that deals with the study of the evolutionary history. So by studying the different fossil records of a species, evolutionary history, we will be able to deduce the evolutionary history of an organism. We will be able to find out what changes have occurred in the history of, in the evolution of a species at the genetic level. How? By obtaining DNA from different fossils of a species, say for example, amplifying them and making DNA profiles of the same, then comparing, and from those comparisons we will be able to deduce the evolutionary history of the species. This is how we can make use of the polymerase chain reaction in the phylogeny. And now we will discuss some more applications of this PCR. Another important application of PCR is in the research. So in research, what we do is that the scientists make use of PCR or polymerase chain reaction to make DNA fingerprints of the newly discovered organisms or newly discovered species. So DNA obtained from the newly discovered, say for example, species that is being amplified again by making use of polymerase chain reaction. Then again DNA fingerprints of such species will be formed. Those will be compared with the existing species. If they don't match with any existing species, then they are declared to be the new species. So in research, this PCR helps us in identification of different species, especially the microorganisms. Say for example, several soil microorganisms, soil microbes can be detected, or their presence can be detected as to which type of soil microbe is present in which type of soils. They can be, this PCR can be of help. Similarly, the microbes which are present in hostile environments, say for example microbes which are present in hot springs, or the microbes which are present in the high salinity lakes, or those microbes which are present in the soil. So those microbes can be found out whether they belong to the existing species or they are some different species by comparing their DNA profiles with the existing species. So this was how polymerase chain reaction can help us even in the research. One more application of this PCR is that this polymerase chain reaction, it has also a role in detection of the plant pathogens. So plant pathogens can be even viroids. So viroids can be detected by making use of PCR. What PCR will do is that again this will amplify the genome content or the DNA content or the viroid. Then we will be able to detect their presence. So there are several plant pathogens, there are plant diseases which are caused by viroids, and the presence of viroids, such plant viroids, can be detected by making use of PCR, which will amplify them. It is also used in detection of the several types of viruses of the plants. Say for example, viruses of the tobacco mosaic virus, cauliflower mosaic virus, etc. These can be detected apart from the symptoms which appear because of infestation of such viruses. Their presence can be detected by making use of the polymerase chain reaction by amplifying their genome. Similarly, it has also been used in detection of different species of the plant parasitic nematodes. So there are certain nematodes, these are animals, nematodes. Those plant parasitic, these are microscopic plant parasitic nematodes. The detection of plant parasitic nematodes as to which type of plant parasitic nematode is present in soil and that is damaging our plants or particularly our cash crops. So their presence can be detected by making use of polymerase chain reaction. Apart from that, we have another important function of this plant parasitic nematode, of this polymerase chain reaction, that is in prenatal diagnosis. So next is it helps us in prenatal diagnosis. In prenatal diagnosis, what we do is that in case of what we do is that we take out certain cells from this pregnant lady, from her amniotic fluid by a technique which is called as amniocentesis. So amniocentesis is a technique wherefrom, with the help of a needle, with the help of a syringe, amniotic fluid containing some cells of the fetus, they are taken out. So from those cells, the DNA can be extracted, DNA can be isolated. Once the DNA is isolated, then that DNA can be used to find out whether it has any sort of mutation or whether it carries any mutant gene or not. If it has a mutant gene, gene, it has that mutant gene which can result in some incurable or some deleterious, which might produce deleterious effect, then such type of the parents of such parents are then counseled that they can go for the medical termination of the pregnancy. They can go for that because the fetus which the pregnant lady carries carries may possibly that type of mutation which can severely harm the fetus, which can because of which the developing fetus is having that type of genetic disorder which will affect his or her life. So this was some important points of this polymerase chain reaction, how polymerase chain reaction is used in different what are the different applications of polymerase chain reaction. I will very quickly and briefly recapitulate them. Number first is detection of pathogens. For those pathogens which grow slowly or where their number is small or whose genome is small, they can be very quite successfully detected by making use of polymerase chain reaction. I have discussed here the example of coronavirus, and also apart from coronavirus, other viruses, especially the HIV virus, can also be detected by making use of PCR. Some bacterial infections can also be detected by them, say for example the tuberculosis. Next is the detection of mutations. Different types of mutations, they can be detected by making use of PCR. Here I have discussed about the Huntington's disease. In Huntington's disease, we have seen how PCR amplifies the Huntington's gene so as to count the number of the CAG repeats. Number third is the application of PCR in DNA fingerprinting. DNA fingerprinting itself has several applications. DNA fingerprinting is the process by which the DNA profiles of each individuals are made, and those DNA profiles are based upon the presence of the variable number tandem repeats of the polymorphism at the gene level or the DNA level. So on that basis, this DNA fingerprinting can be used to solve the forensic cases. So it is used in forensic sciences, it is used to solve the criminal cases, it is used to solve paternity issues, it can also be used to solve certain migration issues as well. Next was how this DNA polymerase chain reaction is used in paleontology. In paleontology, we have seen that the fossils are studied, profiles of fossils are created by amplifying their DNA, whatever DNA we get from the fossils, and then they are compared with the existing species, and therefore we can, by this technique, we can even make possibly use it for the phylogeny. Sorry, it is phylogeny here. Phylogeny is the study of evolutionary history. We can recreate the evolutionary history of an organism by studying at the gene level, particularly the genetic level, at the genome level, by studying the DNA of the various fossils. Similarly, we can make use of PCR in research. In research, we can make use of PCR in identification of different types of organisms, especially in case of identification of the microorganisms, soil bacteria, bacteria present in hot springs, etc. Similarly, we can make use of PCR in detection of plant pathogens, several types of plant pathogens like viroids, viruses, and plant parasitic nematodes, even some bacteria and even fungi, they can be detected by making use of polymerase chain reaction. Finally, we have seen that it can also be used in prenatal diagnosis. Prenatal diagnosis, the detection of this mutant gene is detected before the birth, at the very earliest stages, and then the decision is taken whether to keep the offspring, whether to keep the fetus or to abort it. With this, we have come to end of this very lecture of series, that is application of PCR. Hope you have enjoyed. Do subscribe and like our channel.